Most fans of the famous Wild West series agree that the next installment, Red Dead Redemption 3, shouldn't just serve as another prequel set at some point in the van der Linde gang's history. Before we start, buddy, subscribe to my channel and hit the like button to encourage us to keep publishing more content. Now, let's dive into our expectations and the fans.
I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got cannabis, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA.
神羅天聖
I was born in this is why I see that you live conception. I just never perform like this without you. When you weapon, I know
Expectations for the fantastic game, Red Dead Redemption 3. Many fans expressed the desire for the next part to feature a new gang and crew, filled with deep and diverse characters similar to iconic ones like Arthur Morgan, John Marston, and Dutch van der Linde. They hope for the game to be set during the peak of the most violent Wild West era, perhaps during the Civil War, rather than at the end of that period, as in previous installments. The game might follow an outlaw trying to survive in isolation during this era, navigating the lawless landscape, committing crimes, and forming a new gang of outlaws. Fans hope the release won't be too far in the future to maintain the interest of both current and old-time players. Fixing the fast travel issue is a priority, as it's been a weak aspect in our DR2, limiting movement within the vast world. Realistic and flexible fast travel mechanics, without additional purchases, would be welcomed in the third part, saving players time and tedious travels, moving away from the old map and previous areas. Introducing a completely new world and story is crucial. Fans desire a fresh map with new terrains, landmarks, and diverse wildlife, mirroring the realism of the old Wild West, expanding on things and activities to spend in-game. Money On is a dream for Rockstar Games enthusiasts, particularly in Red Dead series. More options to spend accumulated wealth, like buying properties, organizing events, hiring experts for protection, or even controlling law enforcement for personal benefit, are anticipated in the third game, changing the natural life simulation system to be more forgiving and simpler. Fans of this gaming style are divided when it comes to the number of simulation systems within the game. Some mock it, while others support and enjoy it. However, it's undeniable that some aspects required of players in our DR2 were somewhat comical for a video game, despite the strange realism it portrayed. The exaggerated focus on Arthur's lack of bathing, the impact of forgetting to eat on his weight and appearance, and the exhaustion felt by Arthur and his horse during fast and long travels, hunting, setting up small camps while traveling, and so on, made the game overly detailed in this regard. These types of games should be simpler and less demanding with such simulation systems, straying away from complicating matters to attract more players, making movement smoother and more flexible. Arthur's stamina in the second part was something players usually don't worry about in vast open-world games. Arthur was simply one of the slowest characters in video game history, which the protagonist of the next part should avoid to prevent frustration for players. The overemphasized realism becomes extremely frustrating for players when Arthur walks too slowly for an extended period, and the irritation increases when attempting to hitch the horse becomes a struggle, especially when the horse accidentally collides with a tree or climbs a rock, providing fluid movement and tolerance for extreme and realistic fatigue would enhance players' enjoyment. After all, it's a game, not real life, and players shouldn't have to meticulously handle every detail, especially while exploring an extensive open world. The upcoming game should focus on free exploration without restrictions and concerns about threats that impede players' progress, rather than the character's endurance, hunger, horse hitching, and similar mechanics. Introducing a multiplayer mode free from issues and worthy of a new experience. Releasing additional content for the upcoming part, and not neglecting it as happened in the second part. The DLC named Undead Nightmare was one of the most popular additions from the original Red Dead Redemption's first part, captivating fans for an incredibly long time. Many anticipated something similar for RDR2, but were disappointed by Rockstar's lack of any such release to this day, leading many to create numerous mods to compensate for this aspect. Hence, players are eagerly hoping for Rockstar to execute something akin to this for the third part. Some downloadable content could be integrated into the main storyline, featuring extra missions connected to the plot or revealing previous stories of unique characters in the game. Additionally, another zombie-themed DLC carrying the same name, Undead Nightmare, would be welcomed. Perhaps it would be better to add a new gameplay mode that challenges players to survive for as long as possible, placing them in a survival experience against endless waves of enemies, whether gangs or zombies, attacking them in fortified town squares. For instance, the difficulty would increase in each round, not only in terms of enemy numbers but also their aggression, speed, and attack tactics. To sum up, in today's article, we discussed the main things we wish to see in Red Dead Redemption 3, the negative aspects it should avoid, and we sincerely hope that Rockstar announces its work on the third part during 2024, without forcing us to wait too long for the sequel to one of the most significant and thrilling video games. Share your thoughts and comments. What are the things you wish to see in Red Dead Redemption 3? And what are the main issues that bothered you in the second part, whether in story mode or multiplayer?